All right. Another episode here of Chainlink Sports. I got Yankees minor league hitting coach from Double A. That's right, Casey?
Correct.
From
Correct.
Double A, Casey Dykes, um, and used to coach at Indiana University. Now he's with the Yankees. Casey, thank you so much for hopping on with me today. What's going on, man?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. Not too much, hanging out the house. Family zoo day this morning, and had to knock out a couple things, and now here getting a chance to chat with you, man. So I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And like I said before, you were at Indiana before the Yankees. So what I want to know is, first question is, what was that transition like going from college now to pro ball? And at a school like Indiana, I'm sure you have a lot of kids who are, pro ready or on their way to the pros. So maybe, certain people, there's an exception. But what's been the biggest like challenge or, change that you've seen so far?
Yeah, we were fortunate there. I think we had, the one year I was there, had an opportunity to win a Big Ten championship, and I think we had seven guys in that lineup that ended up getting drafted. So got a chance to work with a lot of pro guys per se, before they actually, made that leap. But, from a comparison standpoint, it's there's definitely differences. I think at the college level, just you're wearing a lot of different hats would be number one. Not only are you usually, for the most part, just a hitting coach, like I am now in pro ball, but also working, whether it be infielders or catchers, doing that, the recruiting piece that comes with it, handling whether it be camps or dealing, with academics, all the different things that you have going on,
Yeah.
there's just not that at the professional level. Now there's definitely different, outside influences, as far as
Right.
working with the players. I think, well, with the elongated off season in pro ball, you have a lot of guys that are, whether it's, through their agents or somebody back home that they have that they work with, you have a lot of that going on, which in college, you pretty much have your hands on those guys for majority of the year outside of maybe a month or two. But
Right.
even then, you're the primary, coach for those guys. So I'd say that's, some of the main differences. Obviously, the language barrier a lot of times with the Spanish, which is something I've, really tried to be invested in
Yeah.
during this downtime.
So you kind of mentioned like all the aspects, college kids have to deal with, and then you know, like even though those are kind of taken away once you go to pro ball, there are also other aspects, like you said, the agents, or maybe they got like one guy that they've been with for years back home. So what's kind of like um easier, I guess, like for lack of a better word, in terms of because like in terms of recruiting and like I'm in college now and I play in college, and a lot of my teammates, they'll struggle with like going to class and stuff, and I'm sure you guys as coaches, you kind of have to stay on top of them for that. So what's kind of you know um easier in that aspect in terms of dealing with the players?
I don't know if one is easier than the other. I think they both bring a unique challenge to the coaching aspect of it.
Right.
Both are extremely enjoyable. At the end of the day, both of them, all you're trying to do is invest in those guys and show them that you're there for the betterment of their future. And you're just trying to provide whatever you can to help them, reach that next goal that they have. And obviously, the goals are gonna fluctuate and be a little bit different depending on which level you're coaching at or which guys you're working with, but all you're trying to do is just gain that trust and show them that you're there to for their best interest and try to help them get to that next level, whatever that is.
Right. So speaking of the next level, in your opinion, and it might be it could be like one or two things, or maybe it's just one main point, but what do you think makes a hitter successful at the major league level? Kind of like the most like general answer, like across the board, that like the best of the best do, like the guys that are able to stay there for 10, 12 years.
I think the one word I would use would be consistency to describe those guys. I think that do it at the highest level, especially who do it at the highest level for the longest period of time. It's the ability to be consistent in their daily work. What they do well, as far as on the field, is for the most part, those guys are the best at swinging at the right pitches to hit.
Yeah,
controlling the strike zone, recognizing the right pitches, understanding a scouting report, and being able to put that into play in a game scenario. And I think it's showing too that usually the most productive guys are the guys who control the strike zone and hit the balls the hardest. Those are the guys who are making the most money when you look at big league hitters.
definitely. And you know, with this whole hiatus, that was going on with quarantine and all that, um, like I'm sure it was hard for guys to stay ready. Like a lot of guys are taking live ABs and stuff like that. But what was kind of your perspective on like keeping your guys ready? Because like with the minor league guys, like it was even more of a question mark with them than compared to the major league guys. So like, how were you kind of staying in contact with them and helping them stay ready? For if they were to play.
Yeah, we're continuing to do that. We got a lot of minor league guys right now that we're, working with, daily, that we're talking with that are on certain programs, and they're going through that, um, and we're trying to just stay on top of it and continue to communicate with them and communicate with the organization just to keep everybody up to date. There's just so many players in the minor league system, and we have to make sure that those guys, whenever we do come back, that they come back at worst who they were when they left.
Yeah.
If they get worse, then a lot of that I think is on us. Like we have to keep them prepared, and our intention is that they're continuing to get better every single day. And I think what we've been able to do as an organization has been I've been extremely impressed with it. And it's been fun. It's been challenging. You really got to think outside the box and reevaluate some of your processes and come up with some new ones and new ways to, use technology and use different, avenues to communicate with these players and continue the development for their careers and try to help them and do our job, which is to help them, continue to push forward and continue to climb. And if we just abandon that because we're not at the field with them, that's on us. So we're continuing to do that with those guys and, spend a lot of time, whether it be, through videos, through different ways of education, on the phone, texting and just constant communication with those guys, making sure that they're on the right track and continuing to get better.
Right. So I was gonna kind of ask the question about that. If like is it just them taking videos of themselves, or is it kind of you maybe like on like a Zoom while they're hitting, you might see something, or like how exactly are you guys doing that?
A little bit of both, just depending on what guys have and what they don't have. That's something we had to educate ourselves on, early in the process, and then as the process went on, and different states are doing different things, so different guys have different access, or even countries. We have guys that are in different countries
Yeah.
right now that we're just trying to stay on top of, and a lot of it is video, maybe while they're in a training session, or they're recording and giving us feedback on that, and then we take time to evaluate it and maybe get on a call with them and talk and just talk through what their objectives are moving forward, what we're trying to focus on during this time, and making sure that they're not just working just to work, but they're working on what we know they need to be working on to get better and to continue to move on and elongate that career.
Right. So now, last question I have for you, and this might be a tough one to pick which one you want, but who is the most impressive player you've ever coached? Maybe it's on the college or pro level, and then whichever player that is, what about that player made him so special or so talented?
Man, I'd be doing a disservice to a lot of players to just name one.
Yeah,
So this may be a little longer answer
that's all right.
than you'd expect. But been a few different stops, obviously in the college ranks. Western Kentucky, was my first coaching job, which is where I played at too, and so that was special for me. And thinking back to guys, tons of guys there, I still have relationships with. Anderson Miller is a guy that comes to mind that is still currently playing in the Royals organization. Incredible work ethic, incredible human being. Always knew what you were going to get every single day. Just the consistency of his work, I think, made him, who he is as a player, but also just who he is as a person. You just know what you're going to get all the time. And then going to VMI, a different type of place with the military aspect there. I got a chance to run into a ton of incredible young men. and work with them, day in, day out. And, had some success there, and, a couple guys a year drafted out of there and all that. But even, some of the guys, I think, a guy named Will Connerly, who's, now flying planes in the military, and Thomas Stallings, who's doing a lot of different stuff from coaching, and now now working for a recruiting, software company. But just an awesome human being, had a great career, but just the energy he brought every single day. Going back to Connerly, even him, David Geary was another guy at VMI, president of the honor court, had a great career, actually as a new dad now, just
Okay.
had a kid recently, and being able to watch that, watch him be a father now, and watch how good he is at that isn't surprising, because he's good at everything he does. He just does it all the right way.
Yep.
And then, two guys that really come to mind that I'm actually fortunate that they're in our organization now, and I got a chance to coach them both in college. One of them, Matt Pita, was at VMI, and he's now with us in the Yankees organization, and then recently signed Eli Dunham, who was out of Indiana. And both those guys remind me a lot of each other. Just the competitive drive, the competitive nature that they go about doing everything. Whether it's I went fishing with PETA not too long ago, and that becomes a competition. If you play ping pong with Eli, like, you better be ready to rock and roll, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's going to be a competition. Those guys are just the way they go about their work, and how invested they are is what has separated them, and it's going to continue to separate them, in baseball, but even outside of baseball, and whatever they do, 20, 30 years from now.
Awesome. And so, like, out of all those guys, like, is it like the work ethic and like the competitive drive, or is it's kind of like kind of combination of both, or some
Yeah.
other aspects? Like, that's pretty much like what kept them all great throughout college and in pro ball.
Yeah, I do. I think it's just the investment into their lifestyle. The way that they treat people around them, the impact they're willing to have on people around them, just because of the selfless nature they have, but also just their investment into, whether it be nutrition, or sleep habits, or the weight room, or the way that they go about their work, and how diligent they are, in their processes as they're continuing to adapt and change, and not be closed-minded. All those things, I think, are wound up, into those guys' DNA, and that's what's made them stand out in everything that they've done, and obviously they had a huge impact on me, and just grateful to still have relationships with all those guys, and keep in contact with them.
That's awesome, man. And that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time,
Yeah,
and good luck to when the minor league guys get rolling again and you guys can get back to work. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me, man. Good talking with you.
Definitely.
Thanks, Nico.
No problem. Signing off.